It's good to have you join us.
My pleasure to be here.
Now, the question would be, how prepared are the people of the state with regards to the coming election? We saw what happened in Edo State. You were here. We had that conversation. We had over 2 million persons collect their PVCs, but at the end of the day, not up to 10% of that number. More than that, though, but it wasn't up to the number that people desired will turn out to vote at the end of the day. So that's why I'm asking the question, how prepared are the people, or what are they looking forward to?
Well, importantly, I think Ondo State's case will be different, judging by the last two elections in the state and the fact that compared to Edo, we're in the build-up to the Edo election, and we've raised concerns about certain factors that may affect the participation of people in the election, especially the threat of violence, escalation of tension and the like. So it is not unexpected that despite the population of registered voters in Edo State, we had that number of people coming out eventually. But in Ondo State, as we speak, about 60 days to election, well, 30 days, not even 60 days, right? The situation is calm, the atmosphere is peaceful, and if you look at the statistics of voters between the last two elections, in 2016, we had about 570,000 people coming out to vote. In 2020, there was an improvement. We had over 600,000 people participating in the election. Now we have over 2 million people registered, eligible to vote in this election. I'm very sure that there will be an improvement, not only because we now have a higher number of people who are registered to vote, but also because of the atmosphere of peace and stability in Ondo State.
Really?
Yes. If you were all here, if you look at the period between 60 days to the governorship election in Ondo State, you would want to agree that the tension was very visible. At some point, even the outgoing governor said it was going to be a do or die affair. So these were issues that would naturally demobilize citizens from participating. Nobody wants to get involved in a process where it will likely do or die. But in the case of Ondo State, despite the fact that we had major politicians participating in this election, the first being the incumbent governor, Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, we also have a former deputy governor, who is a candidate of the major opposition party, the PDP, Honorable Agbola Ajayi. We also have the Labour Party fielding, a very experienced politician, and even the NNPP. So Ondo State have a cream of notable politicians participating in this election. But because of leadership, because sometimes the leadership determines the direction. Because the current leadership in Ondo State gives priority to peace and stability. In actual fact, for the first time in my entire adult life, this is practically the first time that we're having an election in about 30 days in Ondo State, that you get to understand, you really feel there's an election coming. Because normalcy is the order of the day, and politicians are taking toll. Because when you have a governor who is ready to escalate tension, who is ready to engage in do or die, then you should expect his opponents to also toll the same part. Everybody seems to be civil. Everybody seems to be working in line with engaging the citizen in every possible democratic manner and peaceful manner, because even the governor has shown an example. And that is the situation in Ondo State. Yeah.
Interesting.
All right. So before we, focus on how conducive the Ondo environment is for the opposition to thrive, to also, have their campaigns. I mean, these were some of the issues that were raised in the Edo election. Another key group that should be acknowledged here, according to the Residents Electoral Commissioner, says about 726,944 youths. I mean, to an extent, some have made some complaints about a level of political apathy. But with the figure here, we see that there is a level of involvement. So what's your expectation for the youth in this election?
I want to believe that the young people are going to play a very key role in this election, not only because we have a large number of young people coming to register to vote in this election, but also if you look at the current political order in the state, it is such that is engaging the youth, not just for politics, In fact, most of our youth are not just engaged, for political activities in Ondo State. They are engaged for economic activities. A lot of them are now, entrepreneurs, courtesy of the initiative of the state government. That is driving a lot of interest. Young people are now beginning to feel this sense of belonging, that no, I can't just sit back. In actual fact, we have over 3,000 people who are resident in Lagos and some other part of the country who have not transferred their voters card, voting to Ondo State ahead of the next election, while we also have a large population of, young people who are now going to participate in this election, because Ondo State is beginning to become a place where young people are beginning to have a stake. So beyond the fact that they want to participate in politics, beyond the fact that they are now being engaged in economic activities, they are now beginning to see that, good, we can also be part of governance in Ondo State. And how do you become part of governance in Ondo State? By participating in the election. So you may not be surprised that the young people are going to play a key role in determining who the next governor of Ondo State will be in this election.
Well, that was a major concern for a lot of persons in the Ondo governorship election, because the turnout of the youth was not as much. A majority of persons say perhaps they were monitoring on TV online and on social media to see what is going on. We hope that wouldn't be the case.
Sure, surely.
When we come to the Ondo election, because as you rightly said, it's important that people understand the power that they wield, that they have to determine who governs them for the next 4 years. And that is where the matter of civic engagement or civil engagement that you mentioned earlier on comes in. I'm wondering how, political parties, be it opposition, whoever they are engaging the people with regards to the coming election. That is one thing that some persons mentioned when you're talking about the Edo State governorship election, that most of the politicians do not go to the grassroots to really speak to the people, because they are the major chunk that come out to vote at the end of the day, that the people were not connecting with these people.
Not only are the politicians not going to the grassroots, the truth is that our political parties in Nigeria majorly have abandoned some of their fundamental responsibilities, which includes voters' education. A lot of times you actually know that some of these political parties exist during the election.
Yes.
In actual fact, we are going to be having 18 political parties participating in this election. And you'll be surprised that you've not had actively more than 3, 4, 5 in the last 4 years of your being in that state. Maybe having one program or the other. A lot of our political parties exist mainly for the purpose of election, which is very unfortunate. If you look at part of the responsibilities of political parties in the guidelines of the INEC, even in the Electoral Act, even in the constitution setting up these political parties, part of their key responsibility is voters' education. But how much are these political parties doing in terms of voters' education? Because a lot of times we would try to push this on the table of INEC. It is not the duty of INEC. Voters' education is not the duty of INEC. It is the duty of political parties, and as a case, in some cases, and of course, the orientation agencies. And that is why Ondo State Governor deliberately, created, a portfolio for citizens' enlightenment, public enlightenment, even beyond Ondo State. For today, whatever we are doing in Ondo State is not only known to the people of Ondo State, but people even outside Ondo State. Political parties have a responsibility, in fact, a statutory responsibility to educate voters. Not until you want to campaign and you want to go to those villages. And that is one of the reasons why you talk about this voters' apathy. In actual fact, there are places where people don't actually know their elections until about 1 week or 2 to the elections. If political parties are playing their role by not waiting for the next 4 years of elections, by organizing programs, sensitization, it would even help these political parties, because the citizens will have a connection. No, we are not just seeing you a week to election. We've seen you talking to us about voters. INEC had continuous voters registration, in Ondo State prior to this election coming in November 16. How many parties actually went to town to mobilize people to register for voting? How many party is currently speaking to people that we are going to be receiving our permanent voters card in the next couple of days for people who participated in the CVR? How many political parties are doing that? We are waiting for INEC or possibly whatever announcement the state government will be making. No, the parties must take up this responsibility of educating voters.